Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our annual meet and greet of the VTT LaunchPad. I'm Lotta Partanen. I lead incubation and acceleration at VTT, and it's a pleasure to host this event for the 7th time. Every autumn, it's nice to kind of show as a start, who do we have in the incubator you should get to know. Nice to see some familiar faces and also new faces in the audience. Welcome, everyone. So before I leap on to the actual content of the event, I'd like to introduce Tiia-Maria Jaakkola here. All right, so a quick glance at today's program. A few words about VTT LaunchPad, and then we get to actually dive into the real content, which is the pitches from all the teams. But to start with a little bit about VTT and VTT incubation and acceleration. VTT is a strong source of vital deep tech startups in Finland. As you well know, over decades, VTT has been spinning off companies, and in the last 20 years, we've been doing it more systematically, which is amounted to about 60 companies, startups originating from VTT. This is a long tradition, and VTT LaunchPad is the last iteration of this capability development. What we're always curious is how do the startups do that leave VTT that are built on VTT technologies, and a simple measure of that is the equity capital that they raise annually. So if we look at the 5-year average, typically it's around 10% of how much funding out of all the Finnish startups, VTT-based startups raise. However, last year was rather curious. It was altogether 15% of all that funding. And it was not one single anomaly, but several raised more than 10 million euros, which amounted altogether then to 207 million euros. So another curiosity that we've been looking at, I don't have any numbers to show here, but worth mentioning is there's this sort of claim often that to complement scientists you need kind of let's say entrepreneurs with commercial capabilities, and we've been curious about how true that is, and that scientists alone could not become capable entrepreneurs. So we've been looking at the data on that. First, on the teams that have spun off from VTT during VTT LaunchPad, so in the last 7 years. And then now we've done a deep dive into the most active fundraisers, or those who raised funding in the last 10 years of VTT startups. And it would look like that this sort of claim is not fully supported by data. So actually VTT scientists can become very capable CEOs, for example. So this is an insight for us to look into kind of how much we support the teams actually become great, as opposed to try to force, for example, commercial capabilities on them where they might not be needed. So case by case. And we're looking forward to learning more on this also going forward. Good. So I wanted to kind of tell a little bit about the principles of VTT creating spin-off companies and a little bit the ideology behind why we do it and then why we do it the way we do it. A little bit to hoot our horn. Last year, in the fall, I was invited to Taipei to a innovation event, a conference. They had been looking at an OECD report and that about, let's say, deep tech incubation in Europe and creation of startups. And they identified 3 hubs that created the best, most capable startups. And alongside with Fraunhofer and TNO, I was invited to talk at this conference. So I put together a little bit, I need to come with something worthwhile for them to, see and discuss. So I composed the 5 principles that guide our work. So initially, clearly as VTT, as a kind of one of the leading European research institutions, what guides our research agenda is our desire to solve global challenges. So if we're solving global challenges, then, in order to then create an impact on the global level, we need to transfer the technology to those capable parties who can actually go ahead and scale it to that level. So then our typical way of working, bread and butter, is the contract research that we do with the industry. However, what we're talking about here is then, if we see a startup as the more capable vehicle of delivering that impact, then we need to work with building the teams that can actually start delivering that impact. So then, as the second thing in the incubator, we need to help the teams really to aim for that sort of global category leadership, so that they are capable of solving global problems that they have the technology to do. And then, we need to really then help them to envision the great impact and their role as that sort of leader at solving the problem, and then guide them to build the right kind of teams and resource the team in the correct way. Now, as the third principle, we really need to help the teams to focus on what really right now needs to get done in order to accelerate their way to market and accelerate their learning. So avoiding waste is really important in that. So what we do is, in our program, in addition to kind of steering what to kind of focus the work on, we help the teams become best fundable teams possible. We facilitate the discussions with investors such as yourselves or mentors, for example. And then, of course, they need that winning business and IPR strategy and plan. So these are the things at the core of our program that we support them with, and it's all a tailored program per team's needs. Good. So finally, clearly, in order to avoid waste, we also need to be, as a service provider, very clear at how we support the teams and what we communicate, what is expected of them, the whole process. So that's what we need to be very clear with. And then finally, we need to have the right kind of technology transfer terms in place that this can all happen in the end. So if we look at it, from the perspective of a state-owned research technology organization, as I tend to put it, we need to be respectful of the taxpayers' rights at the same time as creating the wonderful basis for a kind of great growth company. So it's always good to kind of then, look a little bit about on the technology transfer terms. It's what we aim for is an in-kind investment of the technology in exchange for preferred shares alongside with the investors. So what happens is that when the team receives a final favorable term sheet, they are ready to start the company. Until then, it's just a project at VTT. And then when the company is founded, and the investors come in with their equity capital, VTT joins in at the same round with the in-kind investment. Good. And then typically, VTT owns around 10% after the first investment round. However, it probably is never exactly that 10%. So it's always a result of negotiation. But if you're interested in learning more about this, we have Pauli Laitinen here on the sidelines. Go talk to him if you want to learn more. Great. Good. So from the last 7 years, From the last 7 years, we have so far 14 funded startups originating from VTT LaunchPad. And it's quite stunning, but their market value is around €500 million at the moment. So I think that's quite impressive, So kind of a big mental hand to these teams that have already made it out. Which is then a kind of a nice bridge to the pitching that will start in a second. So that we can create another $500 million more. So starting our show, we will have Team HYGRON. So this is a team that offers a solution that many of us would have desired in the last days, I think. Isn't it? Exactly. It's been rather humid. I was pulling on my wetsuit and I thought, my goodness, I'm never getting this on because it's so humid. So
that's a good example. It's 80% outside.
Yes. So please take the stage.
Yes. Welcome. We are Team HYGRON. We would like to reimagine air conditioning. We all know it, we feel it. It is getting hotter and hotter every year. 2024 has been the warmest year on record, and the number of extreme heat stress days are increasing. And I'm sure 2025 is well on track to being close to that. This means that our cooling needs will grow substantially. This is not limited to tropical areas, but even northern countries like Finland are experiencing it. And if you look at the global impact of this, there are 10 new air conditioner units purchased or sold every second. And about 20% of the energy used globally in a building goes into cooling. And if the trend continues, by 2030 or 2050, this would be tripling. So we need to have more efficient cooling systems. And why do I say that cooling is very energy intensive? Here's a quick, simple example. Imagine you have two conditions. You need to cool down the air from 30 degrees Celsius to 21 degrees, which is inside. And one is a wet and humid air, and the other is a dry air. The wet air would take about 7 times more energy to cool it down. Why do you say? Because most of the energy goes into condensing out the extra water. So in this case, we are literally putting our energy down into the drain. So that's why at HYGRON, we would like to reimagine cooling. We are developing next generation cooling systems. Just a second, the computer is saying something. Okay. We are developing next generation cooling systems that are built on our patented membrane technology. They are active dehumidification units without the phase change. That would enable us to achieve 50% lower energy consumption compared to traditional systems. These are compatible with both the existing ones and also with, we can do retrofits as well. Put simply, how it works is that, this doesn't work now. Yeah, okay. So how it works is that basically we have hot, humid air coming from outside, and we need to supply fresh and conditioned air into the building. And what HYGRON does is that it acts like a humidity pump. So without condensing the water, we push it to the outside. So that is very briefly what HYGRON does. Compared to the existing systems, existing standard air conditioning systems, we are much, much more energy efficient. And also we provide very, very good living comfort because we can maintain and regulate the humidity indoors quite well. And this is not just us saying. There have been many reports that have ranked different technologies, actually, in fact, 18 different upcoming technologies. And the membrane-based systems actually come in either first or second because of their cost efficiency and ease to integrate into existing systems. So our right to win is that we provide 50% lower energy use, we have improved living comfort, and we are based on 100% sustainable materials. HVAC market is quite big. It's a 250 billion market, and the cooling is about half of it. And because of the advantage that we provide, we are quite confident that we could take at least 20% of the cooling market share. So it's 30 billion euros now, and it's steadily growing, and it would become more and more relevant as we go forward. So the market is immense here. Our business model is that we would be making this dehumidifying module based on our proprietary technology, and we would like to have our own production facilities. We would be supplying this module to the HVAC system suppliers and air conditioning companies. And we aim to reach a revenue of 100 million euros within the first 7 years of operation. We are a team of four co-founders, and I think we are an amazing team. All of us have done PhDs in our own fields, worked together for over 5 years, and each of us have more than a decade-long experience in our respective fields. On the business side, we have Vinay Kumar, who is our CEO, and Erkki Hellen, who takes care of our commercialization activities. And myself and Ayush, we take care of the technology side. So we have really, really good experience in people leadership, business development, and technology upscaling. So I think we are the right team to do this. Briefly about our journey, we started in beginning of 2024, and currently we are developing our product and actively engaging with potential customers. And we would have our proof of concept device ready by the end of this year or early next year. We have raised about 1 million euros so far, both from VTT and Business Finland. And we have started raising our seed round, and we aim to spin out in 2026. After we spin out within 1 year, we aim to have our first units piloting in a real built environment, and eventually we would be launching our product into the market. And after that, we expect that the sales would grow really rapidly. Very, very briefly, some pictures about our recent technology demonstrators. The main technology, that is the membrane, we are able to already produce it in a roll-to-roll process. So we have a very high TRL of already 5. And we are now building our first proof of concept demonstrator. You can actually see the unit there. And this should be already operational by the end of this year. So to finish, we are raising our seed round of 3 million euros, closing in Q2 next year. Most of the capital will be used for doing our key hires, then scaling up the membrane technology and having the first pilot tested in the built environment. So please join us in making our planet cooler. Very excited to see you guys and having interesting discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So many of you will know that VTT has in many technologies superior imaging capabilities. And we actually have 3 teams today presenting their solution in imaging. So first up of the 3, we have HylasVision that offers great efficiency gains in sorting. Please.
Hello everyone. HylasVision will open a new era in industrial material sensing. We will provide 4 times better precision in 90% lower cost. So world is full of waste and our natural resources are running out. On the other hand, climate change and demography is challenging our food production. So we really need to do something and enhance our production lines and enhance recycling. We can also say that data is a new oil. So in recent years, you have seen a very strong development way in artificial intelligence, but AI alone is nothing. AI needs data to do something, and HylasVision can provide that data to AI. And this way, we can ride on top of this strong development wave. So we can say that at the moment, there's a turning point where smart material detection enables bigger business than ever before. And in this image on the right-hand side, you can see human being doing waste sorting. That work is really non-efficient, it's non-healthy, and it's very boring. It should be done by machines. But machines need ability to detect different materials. And we have already technology that we call hyperspectral imaging that can reveal the chemical content of the material. It means it can identify the different materials. So for the naked eye, you can see only white caps, but for the hyperspectral imaging, they show up as different materials. But existing hyperspectral systems, they are framed with issues. So they are 10 times more expensive than the normal machine vision cameras. They have very low image resolution. They are very complex to use, and they are very bulky. And now lately also the halogens, the light sources they are using, they are coming obsolete. So in this phase, HylasVision comes to the picture. So we can provide 90% lower cost, 4 times better image resolution, 10 times faster measurement, even replacement for these halogen bulbs. And because we can integrate the light source and camera together similarly and in your cell phones, we offer also great usability. And this technology will be the platform for all industrial material sensing applications, and it's patented, and we have already granted patent for it. And if we look this from the customer point of view, of course it's obvious that with 90% lower cost you get cost savings. But with 4 times better image resolution, we also enable applications that has not been possible before, so it's business expansion. On the other hand, 10 times faster measurement increases productivity, that means money. And our commercialization will start from shorting business, and we have estimated that for this technology it's about 1 billion, and because we have very strong IPR, we are targeting over 50% of this 1 billion market. And our business model here is to sell this sensor to the shorting machine builders like Tomra, Booler, Satake, and so on, and they will use their own algorithms for this data that we provide. But this is only the starting point. We have evaluated that the whole market for this technology is over 10 billions, and now I will tell you how we will scale. So very natural is that we go to the other verticals. So we start from shorting, but then we can go to the quality inspection of food. For example, measuring the protein content or salt content or moisture of food. Of course, the same can be done also for the pharmaceuticals. In semiconductor industry, we need to measure the thickness of the coating in the wafers. Or we also need to measure the quality of the soldering in circuit boards. And in generally, for example, in automotive industry, we need to measure the micro cracks in the surfaces, for example, of the automotive models. Another way is to go up in the value chain. So the idea is that we have a patented hardware as a core, and then we can add software layers on top of that. So it means that our patented core hardware creates software, and this will scale. And we can also add additional sensors to this system, for example, 3D sensor. So it's a material information and it's a 3D information together, and then we can sell a solution. And in competition, if we consider all the key performance indicators like image resolution, we have the best image resolution on the market. We have a lowest investment cost, lowest operating cost, and the greatest usability because we can integrate the camera and light source together similarly like in your cell phone. It's quite easy to use. We have currently research to business project ongoing that is incubated at VTT LaunchPad. Our team consists of 2 professionals. I am Jussi Soukkamäki. I have 20 years of experience in photonics industry. I have been part in several startups, and 2 of those has been hyperspectral camera companies. My technical co-founder is Teemu Kääriäinen, and he is a key developer of this hyperspectral laser imaging technology, and he has over 10 years of experience of optical instrumentation. We are going to spin out next summer. And we have already working prototype in our hands. And in this research to business project, we have validated the performance of this technology together with our pilot customers, and the results are excellent. They are really happy. They're actually asking when we can sell first cameras for them. And with this seed investment, we are going to develop the first commercial product. And if you look about our sales estimates, we believe that first 100 million revenue will happen in 5 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Jussi. So the next one coming up, the second one of our imaging solutions is Mantis Vision. Mantis Vision is flying their cameras to detect those that are hiding in the landscape. Please.
Thank you, Lotta. Hello, I'm presenting Mantis Vision, which is a hyperspectral imaging company. And what is the problem that we are trying to solve is that we're aiming for this defense and security markets. And in that field, key thing is situational awareness, especially it will be in the future, because as we've seen, the battlefield will be swarmed by unmanned autonomous drones in thousands or tens of thousands of units, and they need to act on their own. But in the Western world, that's not enough. They need to be also reliable, and the data has to be trusted. So they just cannot be that, okay, there's a human, so I'll just blow it up. So it needs to understand that it's civilian, military target, or something else. So in the longer term, the autonomous systems will need higher quality data to make reliable detection or decision making. And our solution to this is to add this hyperspectral imaging capability to the sensor. And like said before, with hyperspectral cameras, you can identify the spectral signature of the matter. You can identify different materials from each other based on their chemical composition. And in our system, we can do this everything in the camera. So we can take the image, process it in real time, classify it, make the object or the target detection in the camera, and just give the operator the real useful information. Here's an example of our camera compared to regular RGB camera. So there's a guy in a camouflage suit hiding in the tree, and with an RGB camera, the automatic AI program, or the neural network algorithm, does not detect the person there. But when it's fed the hyperspectral data, it can pick it up automatically. And this is exactly what we are trying to bring to the market. And this will be completely new dimension for this kind of small autonomous systems. We already have multiple working prototypes in the field. So the picture I just showed was taken with this very camera. So it's operating. And in the first stage, we are aiming to do it in visible and near-infrared range, which allows us to use cheaper sensors, so that we don't need to use the expensive infrared sensors that many of the current military systems are using, but we can do this in the near-infrared range using silicon detectors with a spectral resolution of roughly 20 nanometers. But the technology is not limiting us here, so we can go, if needed, we can go to shortwave or mid-wave infrared if the application needs. The technology is sort of agnostic to the camera technology. Looking at the competitive landscape, like Jussi showed before, that there are these old traditional hyperspectral imaging companies, but they are doing imaging line by line. So for conveyor belts, for example, if in operational use from a drone, that's not very suitable. Or then the other approach is using this kind of mosaic type detectors, that you have a fixed detector that will be unchanged, so it measures a couple of wavelengths and it's not changeable. But what we are doing is that we can image just one wavelength or measure the continuous spectrum. And we can do this fast enough that then we can process data in real time at video rates, and we can analyze it also on the go. So it means that we are very flexible to different applications. What we've been doing so far, so we've been running a project with the Finnish Defence Forces already in 2021, and currently we have a research project with the Ministry of Defense on this topic. And then just In the summer, we started a European project led by Nokia for civilian security applications using this technology for searching missing persons. So we have very big or good projects ongoing, and this technology has been developed at VTT for almost 20 years now, so it's not a fresh start, so to speak. So we have multiple prototypes that have been flying in space, in drones, so it's proven technology that it works. And we already have an interested customer that has given us a conditional purchase order for 50 units when the product is available. And what we're aiming to do next is to map the landscape, getting support letters from multiple organizations in Europe, and also trying to expand these defense pilots for in the next year with the different agencies in Europe and US. And hopefully in the next 12 months we can make the first product launch already. A little bit about the market size. So we are all reading this in the news almost weekly. But if you look at this from this perspective, that currently, based on some sources, there are 10 million drones produced annually. And annually, not like in the decade, in 1 year. And if we think that maybe 70% of these are military or security use, so that's 7 million units. Out of these, let's assume that 10% are, or 50% of these are for reconnaissance and surveillance use, and 10% of these could be then equipped with hyperspectral cameras. And if then like 30% of these would be these kind of high performance systems, that gives us annually more than 100,000 units. If our selling price is 60K per camera, that's already 9 billion in a single year. So, and that's not completely unrealistic estimate. The volumes are just so huge at the moment that it's difficult to even understand that how big opportunity this is, but that's what the numbers say. About our team, we are currently a team of 2 people. Myself, I'm currently a principal scientist here at VTT, more than a decade of research experience in this topic, and then Exxon Delia is a commercial expert with proven sales expertise, and we are trying to, or we will hire experts from VTT, and then we are also backed by multiple deep tech pioneers as an advisors. Unfortunately, I couldn't put their names on this presentation, but anyways, thank you.
Thanks, Antti. Next, coming up, we have the third of the imaging solutions. Team Synadel, which is speeding up the training of equipment for security solutions. Please.
Thank you, Lotta. Aviation security has a serious flaw. We are Synadel, and we are going to fix that. My name is Tatu Harviainen, and I'm one of the 4 co-founders of Synadel. When we think about the aviation security, many of us think that the security comes from the stern guys that are standing at the security line. More educated guess is that the security is based on the security inspection devices that are used to scan the travelers and the luggage that they are carrying. Even better answer is that the security is very much based on the algorithms that are run on the data produced by these scanning devices to detect the threats. However, there is a big problem with that. Whenever there is a new emerging threat, a new data set needs to be created that can be used to retrain the algorithm to detect the new threat. Nowadays, it's done manually.
That means that a huge number of bags and real persons are pushed through the real scanner, and then somebody needs to annotate all this data manually. And this is a huge task. It takes several months to produce the data set to be able to retrain the algorithm. And that is a serious security gap. We have a solution to this. We have a prototype which is based on unique technology, which is developed with over $1 million funding from US Department of Defense. The prototype has already been deployed to global key stakeholders in the aviation security and is being tested. With our technology, we can create data sets featuring any new threat, objects, or any new threat materials in days instead of months. And this creates several opportunities for us. First, we can sell the data with data as a service model to OEMs and third-party developers. There is very little competition in this, and especially AIT side is currently almost blue ocean. Second, with the technology edge that we have from our solution, we can create superior performing algorithms which enable us to offer data as a service to airports and aviation security operators. With this model, we can tap the huge scale that comes from the air travel. Third, we can sell the software to our strategic partners. With this, we especially want to strengthen and continue the strong collaboration that we already have with the key stakeholders. If you take a look at the size of the markets, in USA in 2025, Transportation Security Administrator is spending $2.65 billion to aviation security workforce alone. If we can reduce the need of workforce by 30% with better performing algorithms, we can create $2 billion annual savings. If we look at the size of the market from the perspective of our detection as a service model, we can see that USA, EU, and Canada produce 1.9 billion travel events every year. If we approach that market with our detection as a service model, where we charge a small fee per each scan event, with our go-to-market strategy, where we start approaching this market from EU, looking at the Nordics first and US, we can estimate that with our pilot cases in 3 major Nordic airports and small share of USA, we'll produce almost $45 million revenue in 5-year perspective. And now is the right time to grasp this market. Regulators and airports are currently heavily pushing a shift in the ecosystem, which will radically open the market for third-party operators. And this is not all. Beyond the aviation security, we can readily apply our technology to very valuable extended use cases. In industrial quality control, these same devices are already being used, and we can use our technology to optimize and improve the quality control use cases. In the defense sector, our capability of producing synthetic data to very specific sensor modalities brings high value to many use cases in that segment. And we have the right team to ensure this value. We have a time-tested teamwork on our belt, as we are the core team behind the prototype development. We have the mindset and skills to launch a successful growth company. We are currently building 2.5 million seed fund, which will provide us with 2-year runway. During this time, we will productize the prototype and start generating revenue with data as a service model. We will also develop our capabilities and be ready to launch the detection as a service model, and also address the needs on the extended use cases. We are welcoming investors to take this journey with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tatu. All right, so those are the pitches today. Thanks for keeping an active eye on the teams, ears open. Before we conclude the event with the next steps on how to proceed here, I'd like to pass a little teaser, because the way we operate it as an incubator is that whenever a team is ready to come in, we catch them, and then we tailor the path for them. So we don't take in teams as cohorts. However, we have kind of a glimpse of what might be coming up. So some of the topics that we have, new topics we have lined up ahead of us, is a team that is cracking the holy grail in supplements. We have a team that is addressing the rising global demand in certain food supplies that is endangered by global warming, so with food tech. We have a new chapter coming up in chemical recycling, and then potentially also in quantum computing. So interesting things to keep an eye on.